All right, so speaking of that, I guess we should go ahead and get started. Um, Let me share the screen again for the PowerPoints, but we won't share it for the whole time. This is just a little, talking points to get us started. I'm so excited. So, moving further, you got whoever came up with the idea of doing like Halloween themes until the new year. I love it. I love it. Tonight is Demons and Darkness, and I want to definitely leave room because I want to hear some stories from you guys before we get into the reading portion, because I feel like this has become kind of sitting around our little tarot fireplace telling stories, and I love it. I don't think that there's anybody new here today, but just in case someone is watching that's new, our schedule tonight will be as normal: 8 to 8:30 talk, 8:30 to 8:45 breakout reading rooms, and then 8:45 to 9 o'clock regroup. Tonight will be recorded, so you don't have to keep your camera on if you don't want while we're talking, but if you do a private reading, you must turn your camera on. And at any point, just I did that long 7-hour class this past weekend, and at one point it looked like someone was trying to get in, like a weird mobile phone was trying to get into the Zoom meeting, and someone said that they had been in a hacked Zoom meeting and she had seen things that were really horrible. So I just want to say, if anybody is ever in a breakout room or feeling uncomfortable with anything, just like leave and come back another time. Like don't hesitate to like turn off your computer or leave the chat, because that sounds horrible, whatever those hackers do when they come into Zoom rooms. So we want to protect ourselves. Okay, so tonight is Demons and Darkness. So I wanted to do first just a little like mini trip around some cultures to see how demons and darkness are represented and manifested in different cultures, because of course underneath we're all the same. So it's really interesting to see how other cultures deal with demons and darkness. So I found this cool Jumbie, which is a generic catch-all name for ghosts and spirits in the Caribbean. And in Montserrat, a Jumbie will possess people during dancing ceremonies where they purposely want to be possessed and taken by the spirit of this creature. The Hispanic culture has this terrified me when I Googled this demon. If you don't want to be bothered, don't Google, because
there is a movie.
Yes. It's horrifying. I was like literally at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, should I be doing this early in the morning under the cover of darkness? I don't know. What am I opening myself up to? La
Llorona.
La Llorona. Thank you. She has many incarnations, but she is primarily known as the Wailing Woman, or a banshee spirit, and she is often found, like Hecate, at crossroads or near bodies of water, and you can often hear her before you see her, and she's wailing because of course she's taken the life of her children either by knife or by drowning. And apparently people warn their children against bad behavior, saying how do you say it, Claudia?
La Llorona.
That she will come and get you if you're a bad baby, if you're a bad kid. So I think it's really fascinating, actually, how not just the trope, the idea, the stereotype also of the Mad Mother being so incredibly demonic, like, because the idea of mother is so perfect and so sacred, right? They have this like dark version of, the mother who literally eats her own children. And she's just terrifying when you Google her. Terrifying. And that image is of a girl dressed up as her for the Day of the Dead festival. Then, of course, we had to look into the Hindu culture, and we find Rakasha, which again is a catch-all for lots of different types of demons who generally shapeshift into animals, monsters, and beautiful women. It's most powerful at night and during the new moon, which of course is dark and dispelled by the rising sun. And I thought its power is lessened by the rising sun, like a vampire. And I just thought that just struck me again as how it's kind of like the message to, you know, stay home and stay safe at night when things are much more dangerous. Then there's this cool Islamic jinn, which is like the genie in the nine of cups, right? And so the jinn goes back for ages and ages. It's in the Quran. It's a dual dimensional spirit who lives in both worlds at once. And they're not necessarily good or evil. However, they are very mischievous. And they are known to take possession, of course, of the human body, which is something that we see again and again when we're talking about demonic energy, is this idea that it takes over a human host or a human body. And look at this photograph I found from the 14th century of the right? So, and of course, it's not so surprising with those three world religions being so close and so intertwined. But I was like, wow, there's the devil card. If you know, there's, and of course, the Rider-Waite-Smith, it's Christian imagery. So yeah, I thought that was super, super cool. So then we have to go and kind of take a look at this whole like exorcism thing. And that's the Hierophant card from my Haunted House tarot deck, which I just thought, could you imagine? I inherently think, just generally speaking, that exorcisms, especially of females, are a cruel and often unusual kind of punishment for bad behavior. I don't know. It seems highly abusive to me in certain situations. And I thought, how horrible to wake up and find yourself in the middle of an exorcism and they're like throwing holy water on you and God knows what else, and you're all tied up. Well, maybe you would like that. I don't know. Depending on the circumstance, is it a hot priest? I don't, it depends. But this idea of, again, something taking over you, which is interesting when we're looking actually at shadow work, which, as you guys know, is really close to my heart, because on one hand, you know, oh, it wasn't me, something came over me. Or is it something deeper, and is it something darker? Now, I had the very good fortune to actually be witness to a demonic, well, I was lucky to be there because it was interesting to me. It wasn't lucky that this happened to this woman, but I saw I witnessed a demonic possession at a Baptist church service a year or 2 years ago, and it was utterly fascinating to watch. And there was definitely, without a doubt, something happening in that room, and you could feel it. And already by the nature of a room like that, where the spirit was so raised and there was so much emotion and music and all of this amazing stuff, that as this woman started kind of wailing and shaking and becoming quiet, it was wild to behold. It was just wild to behold. There's a lot to unpack in the different ways, ways you can explain and understand what exorcism is: the good, the bad, the ugly, the cultural, the learned behavior, or the authentic. Who knows? Like, who really, really knows? But I find it endlessly fascinating. So one of the interesting things when we look at like devils, and this is something, when the devil card comes up in a reading, I often think about the fact that when you look at devil, traditionally the devil, especially the Christian Catholic devil, in films and in literature, quite often it's not a frightening, hairy beast. It's often someone quite compelling, quite charismatic. You have Elizabeth Hurley, you have Al Pacino. I mean, Viggo Mortensen is the devil, like, forget it. They're yours. Anything you say. But the whole point being that the devil wants you to have money. He wants you to have everything your heart desires. He wants you to have sex, be sexy, be powerful, be successful, right? But the issue is, of course, there is no end to it's so much, so much, so much, so much. So oftentimes when the devil card comes up, it can indicate a really good time, right? It can indicate an incredible, fantastic, delicious kind of gluttony. But then, of course, you have to bring in the limits, or else you've sold your soul to the devil. The traditional meanings of the devil card, when you look it up and in books, are it's addiction, it's fury, it's anger, it's trickery, it's abuse. It's all of these terrible, terrible things. But when we look at the occultist's view of the devil, and when we look at the devil in the context of shadow work, that we begin to understand that the devil is really the container of the ego, right? So as the occultist begins his journey of return back up the tree of life at the death card, where he is born again with new eyes, he meets this dweller on the threshold, which is like a big video game boss. And really it's the point at which you battle with yourself at all of those places that you harbor anger, resentment, repression, darkness. And even if what you're holding back is something quite good, like an authentic love for someone you didn't let yourself feel or express, or if you're harboring a talent that you decided you weren't good enough to follow up on, or like there's just as much wonderful, great things inside the shadow as is dark, scary, murderous urges that you repress. But the trick is that these are all of the things that give the devil his power, right? So the whole point of kind of slaying the devil, or the dweller at the threshold, or to at least recognize what your ego is doing and how your ego is a separate thing from who you authentically are in your high priestess self. The whole point is to make some space and move it aside so that your communication from your lowest to your highest self is completely free. So in a sense, it's almost like, the devil card and all of that shadow stuff that kind of takes up all of this energy, and energy is energy, right? It's not good or it's bad. It's not bad. It is what it is, right? And how powerful anger and resentment and ego and fury. I mean, you feel inflated, when you're full of those things. But this is everything that keeps all of the water in the tarot deck that springs from the high priestess. This is everything that keeps that logged up. It's everything that keeps you from acting from the truth of who you are, and it's how the devil continues to gain his power. So the ego, like fear and the devil, doesn't necessarily have to be completely vanquished. We need the ego to exist in a material world, and we need fear to keep us safe, but we have to recognize it for what it is and not let it control what we're doing from our truest self. And once you've done that, you've slayed the dweller at the threshold. Although he comes back again and again, right, from time to time. The other interesting thing about, and I never realized, you guys, until today, the devil is traditionally, the Christian Catholic devil is, often a goat. And I never realized that in the word scapegoat was actually the word goat. And so again, when we're looking at the shadow, which is all of those things that we focus on in our life in a dark way, angry way, bitter way, is actually those things which are unsettled within ourselves. So the devil represents fear of the other, right? The scapegoating of populations, of groups of people. So I have that's a great definition. I essentially, that when anger, frustration, envy, shame, and insecurity is directed at other people, and that's usually somebody weaker an outsider, an immigrant, a minority. Um, and then they're persecuted, and then the scapegoater, can get rid of all of that like anger and negativity, and kind of feel incredibly self-righteous, and at the same time often still take all of these things that the scapegoat theoretically owned or had possession of, that the person wants. Scapegoating is something that happens so profusely in all of our lives, and we can look at a slide like this and see all of the traditional examples of how it happens, yet it continues to be perpetuated. And it's just worth looking at again, because as above, so below. Who we are is what the world is, and what the world is who we are. We also do these things when we talk shit and smack about somebody else. There's many ways to scapegoat other people in order for us to feel good. And like sometimes it feels good to spill the tea and like talk your, oh my God, my Alexa's talking. She wants to gossip with me. Sometimes it feels good to like let it all out and sit down with your girlfriends and be like, this is what this one did in yoga, and oh my God, and she's this and that. And right, that's a human emotion, or it's a human urge sometimes to do these things. But in shadow work, when an urge like envy or being nasty rises inside of you, the trick is to acknowledge it for what it probably means and just let it go. It doesn't mean you have to repress it and be some kind of super perfect human, but the trick is to say, okay, I just felt that. Maybe I'm not going to act on it. Maybe I'm not going to talk smack as much as I used to. But as always, when you look at the world and you look at the supernatural and the paranormal, we see time and time again, it is not things in the invisible world that cause death, pain, destruction, sabotage, horrible, horrible things. It is almost 99.999% always other people. So that I just wanted to, I couldn't talk about the devil without bringing that bit up about the other. So, well, that is for our spread for later. So we'll get to that. But does anybody else want to share some interesting insights they have on the devil card, how they deal with the devil card when it appears in a reading for themselves or for other people?
Can I say a Brazilian joke?
I'm sorry?
Can I say a Brazilian joke?
Please do.
The devil says, the diseases, the virus, the end of the world is God's department. My department is sex, orgy, and heavy metal.
We're in good time, right?
It's a Brazilian joke.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So Claudia, since you have the floor, why don't you share that story?
Spooky.
Now, it's spooky, right? So we're moving back into the really kind of creepy.
Very creepy.
Aspect.
Very creepy. Yeah.
All right, share. We're listening.
I'm going to tell very, very quick. Okay. So my cousin, he went to visit. This happened 20 years ago. Okay. My cousin, he was a son of my father's brother. Okay. So he went to visit me and he brought his wife. And she was like, I want her to read tarot for me. It was like 20 years ago. I was not professional yet. I say, okay, I can read tarot. And my cousin was like, no, be careful. What are you going to ask? Be careful. He's very, very worried. And she said, oh, she's my cousin too. I can tell her anything I want. I took her to my bed, to my room. And then I shuffled the cards and I told, so what do you want to know? And she said, I want to know if his mother has done some Macumba black magic for me to die. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to answer such a thing. And she said, you can and you will. I want to know. Just tell me. So I cut the cards. I shuffled the cards. I cut the cards. I had my Visconti Sforza. So I put the cards and I see blurred. I cannot even see which cards was there. So I put it very close to my, and I see like blurring. I could not even see which card was that. And I say, I cannot see anything. I said, you liar. You see and you're going to tell me. And then my cousin starts screaming in the living room. What are you girls doing out there? I can feel smelling of candle here. And then she started crying. I hug her. And less than 2 years after that, the lady was dead.
Oh my. Oh.
Yes. It was 20 years ago. You know, my cousin, you know, he got married again. He had a son. And like early this year, before the pandemic, so I told him the story. I said, remember when you were in my home, that you smell like the candle? Because he wants to know why I don't want him to talk about me to his mother. I say, don't even tell her that I exist. I don't want her to even to remember me, you know. And then I told him, and he said, "Oh, he never liked it, my first wife." That is very spooky.
Wow.
Yeah, black magic, macumba.
I'm curious, just with a show of hands, like how many of you would read for that question if somebody came to you and asked you that question?
It's very spooky.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But Sasha, I could not see. You know, I put the cards like this. I see blurred. I cannot see. I didn't say her anything. I just said, you know, I cannot read that. I cannot see the cards. And she, you liar. You see. I know that you were seeing. And then my cousin gave the answer.
I have a friend she's not a tarot reader, but she is so she knows things and it freaks her out. And she will not look at my tarot cards if she's like, get them away, because she doesn't want to accident. She thinks she accidentally sees something, in the cards. And once she sees something, she can't unsee it. She sees what's going to happen. Wow, it's interesting. Gina, do you have any interesting stories about what's happened to you when you've read? Anything particularly eerie?
Many eerie things. I'm trying to think of the eeriest thing. Last year in Salem, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I was hearing a microphone going on, and I still hear it, but it's okay. I don't know if it's Shirley.
Hello.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, we can hear you. Can you mute your microphone? Sorry.
My microphone. Oh,
I'll even mute mine.
I wasn't saying anything, but I will mute my microphone again. That helped.
Thank you. There we go. Okay, so last year in Salem, I was reading for this girl, and we had these trees that were set up, like these artificial trees that were set up with lights on them. And they were orange lights, and I remember I was doing a mediumship reading for her, and all of a sudden, she was facing me, and I was facing the trees. All of a sudden, I could see the lights, and nobody was touching them. The lights started flashing as I'm doing the mediumship reading. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like, I don't know why, but for some reason I keep seeing a flashing tree. And she goes, oh, that's my dad, because we were talking about our dad communicating with her. She goes, my dad named me after the name tree. So literally the dad was doing like physical, like flashing of the tree so that I can get that keyword. I can't hear you.
I forgot. I muted myself in case it was my microphone that was making the noise. That's amazing. Can I also say, I don't know if I already said this did I say this last week? But I went to Salem last year, like the weekend before Halloween, and I knew Gina was there reading. But of course, Salem is wall to wall people for blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. So we parked and went into this space, and I found Gina within 7 minutes out of all of Salem. I just love that. I love that you were like the first face that I saw when I walked in. That was awesome.
I won't be going this year, but I will be doing it virtually.
Oh, good. Yeah, Salem's going to take a big hit this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Money-wise, like everything else. Oh, all right, guys. So we've come to our tarot reading portion. of the evening. So this is not my original spread. This is something I grabbed off of the internet because I liked its visual. And it is by, we'll give credit where credit is due, by Arachia on Tarot and Divination Amino. Whoever that is, thank you for making this beautiful spread. So as always, our spread for tonight is just a suggestion. You can do whatever spread you like, but I like this also because it is talking about your inner demon, right? It is talking about what you're harboring inside yourself. So the first space is what kind of demon is following me? What are you plagued by? What feeds the demon is the second card. So of course, what are you giving off that this demon is devouring? And let's really look at that on the energetic level too, because I think there's good and nefarious stuff depending on, like what are you giving off? Because you get what you give. And the third card, what needs to die? What needs to be done? What needs to be over? 4, what needs to be brought to life? So as you're extinguishing and getting rid of something, what do you want to conjure in its place? Because when you make space, nature abhors a vacuum. Something's going to rush in. And 9 times out of 10, if you don't go out of your way to really make a clearing or to make an intention to make it something new, the same thing will come back again. Patterns, habits, tarot, ace to the 10, background again, world to the fool, So when you clear space, how can you really make space for what it is you want and not more of the same, unless you want more of the same? And the center card, what my life would be like without the demon. Again, this is like a really great question because, we like to stay comfortable. And oftentimes that comfortable thing is not something that's good for us, right? And our hopes and our fears, right, are the same thing. So what would your life be like without the demon? It's worth thinking about, whatever your greatest kind of struggle is right now, you might want to consider that that's your demon. Or you might consider it something delicious and indulgent, like the fun devil, that side of the devil. So I don't know, whichever way you feel like reading this for yourself and for your other person. Did everybody write it down? You guys all have it? So did you guys have enough time for each of you to get your readings? No.
Right.
Deanne, I'm so sorry. I know we only did one reading too. But you guys can trade information and continue on. Just because I'm going to close this at 9 o'clock doesn't mean you can't find your partner and continue on. Ginger, were you going to say something?
Oh, no, I was just saying, not for 5 cards. I don't think it was quite enough time.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Ginger,
What, Dan?
to show Ginger her card, her last 2 cards.
Oh, she wants to show me the cards.
Last 2 cards.
Yeah, pop them up.
Here's 4.
Is that 7 of Wands?
Yes.
Yes.
And here's 5.
Okay, perfect.
Ooh.
Well, that's a good ending right there. Love it.
I love when the sun is a big center card of like a thread when that's right in the center. Interesting stories came out of this one, didn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I felt like I was reading a short story to Vicky. Very cool. I'm like,
And I liked it.
yeah, right. It was interesting and weird, and I liked it. Did anyone, how many of you guys were surprised enough to find friendly energy in your demon? Anyone?
So have to
Regina,
say I
you had
was. Mhm.
Yeah, was
Yeah.
unexpected.
And you too, Claudia, you had a friendly demon? Is interesting. So how did you read, how did you rectify? Is that the right word that I'm looking for?
No,
Reconcile.
there
Thank
you
you.
go.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Reconcile demon, which is theoretically diabolical and nefarious. How did you reconcile demonic energy as being helpful without then somehow turning it into an angel? Talk to me about that. How'd you guys work that?
Hmm.
Or did you just say it's nice to have this demonic energy? Like give me some darkness. It's good. Like give me some good edge.
When you have a demon that's helping you, you dare more than you used to if you don't have this demon on your favor. So I think I did a lot of things in my life that is like, I say like daring so much, you know. And I
That's a
think,
good way to put it. Yeah, I like
yeah.
that.
And Lisa, what were you gonna say?
Well, I feel like, I feel like everybody's really highly spiritual, in this group. I feel like we brought in a certain, like edge, that things we had to learn for compassion. So in a way, those demons have really helped us be better readers. Like, I mean, if we had a Norman Rockwell home, we wouldn't be where we were at right now, because it's made us dig deep, and
It's true.
that's how those demons are truly helpful.
Are our gifts. I was having this
Yeah.
actually I was speaking with Lucian a couple days ago, and we were talking about how the darkest parts of your life really are, especially in this, not only in this work, are the gifts, right? That is that what the shadows that carve you into who you are and give you your humanity. And in many cases, especially if something that you're up against is something physical or highly emotional, you learn you can leave your body. You learn that there's all kinds of wild intuitions and psychic things that happen, that have to happen in order to keep yourself safe, which is horrifying as a kid, but it's interesting as an adult, or it's horrifying whenever it happens. You don't have to be a child. But yes, it's certainly, I always like to say that whatever darkness you've encountered in your own life, the richness and light on the other side gets that much deeper. So yeah, it pays forward on the other side for sure. For sure. Thank you for bringing that up, Lisa. Anybody else?
I have a demon story to tell you.
Oh, Ginger, please share.
Okay, so back in my young rock and roll days, I was with a friend. She was a singer in a band, and of course, you get home, and once you get in silence, your ears are ringing and stuff. And I had gone to bed, and all of a sudden, I started getting these flashes of evil clown faces. And I thought, wait a minute, I love clowns. I don't understand. And then I remembered my grandmother told me once, when you're frightened or something, say, "Devil, I rebuke you in the name of the Lord." So I'm saying, "Devil, I rebuke you in the name of the Lord." And as the third time I said it, my bed starts shaking. And I thought, I have pissed off the devil. Now what happens? And the bed just starts shaking more and more. I lived in California. It was an earthquake.
Oh,
Oh,
That's amazing. That's like hilarious universal timing. That is so funny. Lucian, we only have like 5-6 minutes left. Are you still there?
yeah, I'm here.
Did you have any kind of demonic thing you might want to share with the group?
Well, we did a reading for each other, and it was very similar demon. Unhappiness from me, unhappiness from childhood. I was never quite plugged into being a good little boy that liked football and games and all that type of thing. So it's unhappiness from childhood for me.
Mm,
I was a bit of an observer of it all.
mm.
And I think part of it comes from just, well, it's been documented now. I'm dyspraxic, like Daniel Radcliffe and Cara Delevingne's made interviews about it. So it's more's known about dyspraxia now. And that was an unhappy childhood. It was feeling that I wasn't really part of life. But they didn't teach classes so much in things that I enjoyed later, you
Mm.
know? You know, big boys get over things, but there's a residue in the unconscious of unhappiness, and that's what came up with me with Lisa helping with that.
Aw,
So that was that.
wow, I hope it was helpful. I'm
You know,
sure it was.
it was sort of helpful. Yeah, yeah.
Good, good. And Claudia, you wanted to say something.
You're
Yeah,
muted.
I'm mute, yes. I just want to show a book. Wait, I'm getting here. This one. Aeneid from Virgilio. This is from Latin literature, inspired Dante to write about the Inferno. And here there's interesting that you can maybe do a meeting or go into hell, which I think is very interesting point of view to face the demons and going into hell. And this book, there's Aeneas going back from the Troy War. He's going back home. Is different from the Odyssey, which is Ulysses going home. But there is a chapter here that he go to hell, helped by the Sibyl to meet his father. So it like facing the going down to hell, you know, facing the demons. It's a very interesting book. So the Aeneid
Aeneid.
from Virgilio.
Awesome. Thank you. There's so many good demon, dark stories, right? in history. I think my favorite is Angel Heart. Like if we're looking at like demonic movies, my favorite, that movie is so
Which one?
Angel Heart with
I love it. I
with
love it. I love it.
yeah, it's so
I
good.
love
Lisa
it.
Bonet and not Mickey
Rourke.
Rooney, Mickey Rourke when he was
When he was, yeah.
when he was Mickey Rourke.
When.
That's a great movie. Well, you guys, thanks for tonight. This is so much fun. I love it. I love seeing
I love it.
Hey, I have a quick question.
Yes.
You originally said this was only going to happen through September. Did I
did.
hear you say it's going to go longer?
Yeah, like why should we stop?
Yay!
Right? Yeah, no, I don't remember saying that. Maybe I just said it in case I didn't like it or something.
I think
so
you
had to keep it
posted
out.
that
You're
once.
just hedging your bets.
Yeah, exactly. Just to be on the safe side. Yeah, no, you guys, I really love doing this. I was saying it to Vicky, like I get really excited I love the themes. Speaking of that, if there's anything that ever comes up that you guys want to be like the topic of the night, let me know. Anything at all, like whatever you guys are interested in, like let's do it. Cause yeah, so this will go on indefinitely. Like why not?
That's awesome.
Yay!
Why not? Why not? All right, so I'm going to pull a card for everybody. Oh, actually, should I wait? This card flew out during your reading, Vicky, so I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to pull a final card for all of us for the week for our group, which I love it. I get like 12 RSVPs every week, and then it's nobody new shows up. So good. I like all of you guys. I like our small group. Okay, our card of the week is, or our card together as a group is, ooh, Queen of Cups.
Oh, she's
Ooh.
Oh.
This is
Lovely.
Thank you. So this is from the Haunted House Tarot, and this is actually the inner courtyard of the Frick Museum. Is where I based it, on the upper east side. And I love the Frick Museum because it's one of the only art museums in the city that does not allow children under 12 years old, which I think is genius. And it's a beautiful mansion full of incredible artwork, and it has this inner sanctum. But of course, the Queen of Cups, and especially in the this deck, the Haunted House Tarot, she's an angel. So I think it's a message for us to honor our darkness as well as honoring our angels, and keeping them all, and knowing that maybe the demons and the angels, just like we do, move between the light and the dark, and the left and the right, and the masculine and the feminine, and all of the things that we also cycle through ourselves. But the most important thing at the end of the day, of course, is love. So lead with your heart, and love will conquer all, even evil demons. I don't know.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Sounds good. Sounds
There
good.
we go.
You guys, it was great to see you all. Love. Have a really good week. Stay safe, and see you guys next Tuesday.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.